Another pleasant cloudy day. Wait for cars to pass. Here we're at a signal where you have a free left turn, and that means you don't have to wait for a green light. There's a give way sign, so you yield to traffic. Check on your right when no one's coming. You're allowed to go. We're about to merge onto a freeway. There's a roundabout. When there's two lanes, both usually allow you to go straight, and of course, left and right. The way roundabouts work is you're supposed to yield to traffic coming from your right. So when you're on someone's right, they allow you to pass first. We're on the ramp, joining the freeway, speed limit 80. I'm going to set cruise control and forget about it. Just flash your indicator and join the leftmost lane as the ramp lane ends. It's not too complicated, just got to manage the timing between your joining the freeway and gaps between vehicles going in the same direction. So I've got a toll tag stuck to the top of the front windshield. Beeps every time you go under a toll gate. In Australia you have the option to not have a toll tag. Cameras on the toll gate take a picture of your license plate, and that's connected to your toll account, and it charges you accordingly, and you will be able to pay instantly through direct debit. You've got a bank card connected with your toll account. The one I use is called Linked, L-I-N-K-T. That's what the exit lanes look like on the left, but we're staying here for a while. When the dashed lines turn into these sort of longer dashes, it's recommended not to switch lanes. Try and achieve it before they turn into a solid white line, at which point lane changes are not allowed. Not that that stops people from changing lanes whenever they please. But good driving habits keep you safe, keep everyone else safe. When thinking about the safety of others around you in traffic, I'm reminded of that quote. I think it was Dostoevsky said, every man is responsible for everything that happens to him and everything that happens to everyone else. That's a heavy responsibility to bear. Not too heavy if you make it a habit. For new drivers, it's worth knowing that large vehicles have air brakes. They can stop quite suddenly. Speed limit changes to 100 over here. I'm in the slowest lane to the left, so not everyone has accelerated to the new speed limit, but that's okay. I'm in no hurry. Sometimes when you're driving cross country and it's dark, it's worth following a large vehicle. They go at a slower pace, and you're generally quite safe if you maintain distance. Allows you to catch any bumps or potholes in front of you, gives you time to course correct. Metaphor for life. Learn from others' mistakes. So I'm going to stay in this lane, cruise along until it's time for me to exit. It's a cool day, and it would be nice to have the windows down, but on the freeway you won't be able to hear me. I moved into the lane to the right of me because there's traffic joining from a ramp got to give them some room. There's cameras under the bridge. Worth paying attention to your speed. So, back to mental calibration habits. A couple of years ago I started writing down inspiring words, phrases to read every morning, just to get into the right mode for the day and not be distracted by irrelevancies. Going to exit Blackburn Road. Flash your indicator, slow down, turn off cruise control. Well, it automatically turns off if you tap the brake. I'm turning left. Again, it's a free left, but you've got to give way to traffic that's already going in the same direction. Do a head check to the right. All clear. Check the speed limit, 70. I know I'm going to turn left up ahead, so with about 100 meters to go. Turn my indicator on. Nice and easy. Last time we discussed the first mental calibration phrase, success is the best revenge, and it's part 2. Next on the list is we have work to do. I just wrote that down to remind myself in the mornings that I should remain focused on my goals. Not be distracted by things that have nothing to do with my goal. But I do have a tendency to sometimes get sucked into petty thoughts or get distracted by trivial things. They suck energy, and if this happens on a regular basis, the minutes and the hours each day turn into years of your life, and stops you from getting as far as you could have if you remained undistracted and saved your energy and applied it to the things that meant most to you. When I read it in the morning, it's also at the front of my mind throughout the day. So as I'm going through tasks, a voice tells me, we have work to do. Get back on track. Focus. Don't leak energy. Time is limited. The task isn't going to complete itself. I do think we consciously and unconsciously waste more time than necessary. It's a nice view there. We're on top of the hill. Just give an extra inch to learner drivers. The blue car that passed had an L board, and I like to give them some extra time, some space. If they're learning and you're impatient, you turn it into a stressful experience for them, and they'll associate that with driving. That's not good. You want calm, confident drivers on the road. This is a nice street. It's quiet, hilly, nice views. Get some fresh air in. Traffic's not too noisy. Got to turn left here somewhere. I think I'll know it when I see it. There it is. James. School zone. Whether you see a speed limit sign or not, speed limit's always 40 kilometers an hour or lower. Sunny and warm, about 28 degrees. Nice when you can catch the green light. So the first phrase we discussed today was, we have work to do. Next one on the list is, your people are watching. This is something I wrote to myself after realizing that we tend to perform at a higher standard when we have people to be responsible for. We're more committed, less willing to give up at the first sign of difficulty, and you're more likely to want to do well if it's not just yourself you're answerable to. It occurred to me when many years ago I was at an interview. It was a second or third round, and I remember feeling a bit nervous. The interview panel had left me alone in a room, and they were meant to come back in about 5 minutes and start questioning me. All the usual bollocks. Explain this on your resume, what your goals are, what you think your weaknesses are. But anyway, I was sitting there thinking, why am I nervous? It's because they're coming in to evaluate me, and I want something from them. I want a positive evaluation. I want the job. But if I didn't, I wouldn't care. So I've got to go into it either expecting to win or just not wanting anything. And of course, you do your best, you're prepared, you anticipate some questions, and you do what you can. But after all that, I looked out the window and I imagined there were younger people looking up to me and watching me for guidance, as if they're looking for tips on how to do an interview well. And it changed my mindset. I felt as if I have to perform now for the benefit of people watching. They're going to think about this as the solution to their stress when faced with an interview, the way to handle an interview, the right way. And of course, what went through my mind was, what is the right way? I've got to figure that out and perform in accordance with the standards I set for myself and for educating anyone watching. I did all right and got the job in the end, but what stayed with me was how my nervousness got replaced with a sense of responsibility. And so every time I'm faced with a challenging task or something I dislike, I imagine I'm doing it for people watching, people who look to me for guidance, and it changes the equation. And I go into the task not only wanting to do it well, but also to do it in a manner that could be considered the standard. So when I read this phrase in the morning, and I've got a whole bunch of challenging tasks ahead of me, it's been helpful to say to myself, your people are watching. Do it for them. Do it so they know how. The next was transcend the petty rules of mortals. Isn't that inspiring? I lifted that from a book by Ben Thompson called Badass. It's a good book. Makes you laugh and teaches you a bit of history. Ben Thompson writes in his inevitably funny way about badasses from history. Bruce Lee's in one of the chapters as well. He can't not be the ultimate badass. So in one of the chapters he's describing someone, and the opening lines include this, that he transcended the petty rules of mortals. And that's inspiring, isn't it? You read that in the morning and you put yourself in badass mode. You tell yourself you're better, and you pretend you are, and that can make you better. Even Muhammad Ali employed this trick. He said, "I always said I was the greatest, even when I didn't know if I was." So what does it mean to transcend the petty rules of mortals? It can be a reminder to not get sucked into petty thoughts and silly ideas and things like people's opinions and society's expectations. Rise above all of that and focus on more important tasks. Certainly you have to have a mission that is above all that. And then it's breaking rules. Not casually and without forethought. But don't feel compelled to follow rules that don't make sense. Here's an example of a narrow lane, quite tight. You almost nick the wing mirrors of the cars in the lane adjacent. But that's Australia. All this space on the continent, they've squeezed into the coastal cities with poor urban planning. Well, I suppose the upside is it makes you pay attention. Whenever I say pay attention, I think of Eddie Izzard. Pay a bloody attention, alright. What bit is that from? I think it's his Glorious tour. Or no, I think it was a Definite article. Both fantastic. Worth checking out. I think it's on YouTube. I'll post a link. So to say to yourself every morning, transcend the petty rules of mortals, you certainly put yourself in a good mental space. And you try to be better than you would otherwise. You give more than your average effort. Because if you think you're a badass, you certainly have to have higher standards. So I'm close to reaching my destination today. We've got through 3 mental habits or mental calibration phrases. We'll cover more in the coming chapters. The list is long. There's lots to talk about. By the way, in the previous chapter, I did mention that I'd like to be in the leftmost lane when there's not much separating me from oncoming traffic. But I'm only doing that now on this stretch because there were cars parked in this slow lane. There are more cars parked ahead on the left, and I'm going to have to switch back into the faster lane. And yeah, there's just a line of white paint separating you from oncoming traffic in a 60 zone. So you've got to be careful driving around metropolitan Melbourne, and pay a bloody attention, alright. See you in the next one.